Chapter 9: The Living Organisms, Characteristics and Habitats. Pallavi and Mukesh went on holiday to many places of zest. One such trip took them to the river Ganga in Rishikesh. They ascended the mountains of the Himalayas, where it was very cold. They saw several types of trees on these mountains: oaks, pines, and deodars, very dissimilar from the ones near their house on the plains. In yet another trip, they traveled to Rajasthan and moved on camels through the warm desert. They gathered various kinds of cactus plants from this trip. Ultimately, they went on a journey to Puri and visited the ocean beach, dotted with casuarina trees. While reminding all the joy that they had on these tours, thought struck them. All these places were so varied from one another. Some were cold, some very hot and dry, and some places 50 humid, and yet all of them had many organisms. Living creatures of different kinds. They endeavored to think of an area on earth where there may not be any living creatures. Mukesh thought of places near his home. Inside the home, he tried the cupboards. He had thought that there may not be any living organisms here, but he found a small spider in the cupboard. Outside the house, too, there did not seem to be any place he could think of that did not have a live creatures of some kind or the other. Pallavi started memorizing and reading about faraway places. She learned that people have even found tiny living organisms and the surroundings where they live. Another thought that takes place to Pallavi and Mukesh was about the kinds of living organisms that were exist in different regions that they had visited. The deserts had camels, the mountain hills had goats and yak, Puri had some other creatures, crabs on the sea beach, and such a variety of fish being caught by the fishermen at the sea. And then there did seem to be some creatures like ants that were exist in all these various sites. The kinds of plants found in each of these regions were so different from the plants of the other areas. What about the surroundings in these different regions? Were they the same? Things, animals, and plants found in the other locations that are also shown in the Table A. You can gather the examples disseminated through this chapter to fill up Table A. Discuss also with your friends, guardians, and teachers to find some more examples to fill the tables. You can take help of many interesting books in libraries that informs you about animals, plants and minerals of different areas. Try to include more plants, animals and objects, big and small, in each of the columns in this table. What type of objects will we find that may not be animals or plants? Maybe parts of plants such as dried leaves or parts of animals like bones. We may also find various kinds of soils and pebbles. Water in the sea may have salts dissolved in it as discussed in previous chapter. There could be many more objects. As we go through the chapter, keep joining more examples to Table A. We will discuss the table as we travel through many more interesting places. Habitat and adaptation. What do you find from the plants and animals listed in Activity 1? Did you find a large variety in them? Look at what you have entered in the column for the desert and the column for the sea in Table A. Did you list very different kind of organisms in these two columns? What are the surroundings like in these two regions? In the sea, plants and animals are surrounded by saline salty water. Most of them use the air dissolved in water. In deserts, there is a scarcity of water and the climate is hot and dry. There is a short rainy season followed by a long dry season. The animals and plants of the desert live on the sandy soil and breathe air from the surroundings. The sea and the sandy region are very different surroundings, and we find very different kind of plants and animals in these two regions, isn't it? Let's have a look at these two very different kind of organisms from the desert and the sea: a camel and a fish. The body feature of a camel helps it to survive in desert conditions. A camel has long legs which help to keep the upper part of the body away from the heat of the sand on the ground. After drinking water once, it can live for many days without water. A camel excretes a small amount of urine and its dung is dry. A camel does not sweat. Let us look at different kinds of fish. Some of these are shown in the figure below. There are so many species of fish, but do you notice that they all have something common about their shape? All the ones shown here have the streamlined body shape which helps movement in water, scales which protect the internal organs of fish, flat fins and tail which help the fish to change direction while swimming, gills which help the fish to use oxygen dissolved in water to breathe. We see that the features of a fish help it to live inside water and the features of a camel help it to survive in a desert. We have taken only two examples from a very huge species of animals and plants that dwell on the earth. In all these species of organisms, we will find that they have few features that help them live in the environments in which they are easily found. The existence of specific features or certain habits which authorize an organism to live naturally in a location is called adaptation. Adaptation of organisms varied depending on their place of living. That is why a fish cannot live out of water and a camel cannot live in sea or river. The natural surroundings where a living organism lives is called its habitat, or in simple words, home. Habitat provides an organism with everything it needs to survive: food, shelter, and proper climatic conditions. Living things live on land, in water, or on trees. Based on this, habitats are of the following types. 1. Terrestrial habitats. Terrestrial habitats consist of habitats on land like forests, grasslands, deserts, and mountains. Organisms that live on land like cow, horse, lion, elephant, camel, and tiger are terrestrial organisms. To aquatic habitats. Aquatic habitats include habitats in water like ponds, lakes, rivers, and oceans. Organisms that live in water like fish, lotus, water lily, water chestnut, and water hyacinth are aquatic organisms. A habitat consists of two main components. These are: 1. Living component, also called biotic component, and 2. Non-living component, also called abiotic component. Biotic components include plants and animals. Abiotic components include soil, rocks, air, water, light, and temperature. Are sunlight and heat biotic or abiotic components? We know that some plants grow from seeds. Let us look at some abiotic factors and their effect on seeds as they grow into young plants. Mountain regions. In the mountains, the weather is very cold and windy. The ground is covered with snow. These conditions make it difficult for plants to grow and for animals to move around and find food. Have you seen the kind of trees shown in figure? If you live in a mountain zone or have visited one, you may have seen a huge number of such trees. But have you ever noticed such trees naturally growing in other regions? Most mountain plants grow close to the ground to avoid being uprooted by strong and frequent winds. The trees are normally cone-shaped with sloping branches. Leaves of some plants are needle-shaped. This helps the rainwater and snow to slide off easily. There could be trees with shapes very different from these that are also exist on mountains. They may have various type of adaptations to survive on the mountains. Animals living in the mountain zones are also adapted to the situations there. They have plump skin or fur to save them from cold. For warm, snow leopard has thick fur on its body, including feet and toes. This guards its feet from the cold or freeze when it walks on the snow. The mountain goat has powerful hooves for running up the hilly slopes of the mountains. As we go up in the mountainous zones, the surroundings change and we see various types of adaptations at different elevations. Grasslands. A lion is an animal that obtains its food by killing other smaller animals like deer. Lion is a carnivore and a deer is a herbivore. In this case, the lion is the predator and deer is its prey. It is light brown in color. Look at the picture below of a lion and that of a deer. How are the eyes adjusted in the face for these two animals? Are they in the front or on the side of the head? Lions have large claws in their front legs that can be withdrawn inside the toes. Do the features of a lion help it in any way to survive? Its light brown color helps it to hide in dry grasslands when it hunts for prey animals to eat. The eyes in front of the face allow it to have a correct idea about the location of its prey. A deer is another animal that dwells in forests or grasslands. It has powerful teeth for chewing firm plant stems of the forest. A deer requires to know about the existence of predators, animals like lion that make it their prey in order to run away from them and not to become their hunt. It has tall ears to hear sounds of movements of predators. The eyes on the side of its head allow it to see in all directions for danger. The speed of the deer helps them to run away from the predators or hunters. There are many other features of a lion, a deer, or other animals and plants that help them to survive in their habitat. Some aquatic habitats. Oceans. We already learned how fish are adapted to live in the sea. Many other water animals have streamlined bodies which helps them to move simply in water. There are few sea animals such as squids and octopus which do not have this streamlined shape. They live deeper in the ocean, close to the seabed, and capture any prey that moves in front of them. However, when they make a move in water, they make their body shapes streamlined. These animals have gills which help them to take oxygen dissolved in water. There are some water animals such as dolphins and whales that do not have gills. They breathe in air through nostrils or blowholes that are placed on the upper parts of their heads. This helps them to breathe in fresh air when they swim close to the surface of water. They can live inside the water for a long time without breathing. They come out to the surface from time to time to take breathe in air. Did you ever see this interesting activity of dolphins in television program or films on ocean life? Ponds and lakes. Have you ever seen plants growing in ponds, lakes, rivers, and even some drains? Go on a field trip to a nearby pond if possible and try to notice the types of plants that are seen there. Observe the leaves, stems, and roots of those plants. Some of those plants have their roots congealed in the mud below the water. In terrestrial plants, roots commonly play a very vital role in the absorption of nutrients and water from the soil. However, in water plants, roots are much reduced in size and their main task is to hold the plant in place. The stems of these plants are long, hollow, and light. The stems grow up to the surface of water while the leaves and flowers float on the surface of water. Some water plants are fixed in water. All parts of such plants are underwater. Some of these plants have narrow ribbon-like leaves. These can bend or fold in the flowing water. In some fixed plants, leaves are generally highly separated, through which the water can normally flow without harming them. Frogs usually live in ponds. Frogs can stay both inside the water as well as move on land. They have strong back legs that help them in leaping and catching their prey. They have webbed feet which help them swim in water. We have learnt only a few ordinary animals and plants compared to the huge species that live in various habitats. You may have also noticed the very huge species in plants around you. When you create a herbarium as part of the suggested activities in previous chapter, assume the type of variety that you could see in a herbarium of leaves of plants from all zones of the earth. Characteristics of organisms. We went on a journey through different habitats and discussed many plants and animals. In first activity, we noted objects plants and animals seek in different regions. Suppose we halt a while and think which instances in our list are living. Let us think of examples from a forest. Trees, creepers, tiny and large animals, birds, snakes, rocks, soil, water, air, dead animals, mushrooms and moss, perhaps only some of the objects that are exist in the forest. Which of these are living? Imagine of objects that you can look around you at this time and group them as living and non-living. In some situations, it is simple for us to know. For instance, we know that objects such as chair or table are not alive. Pallavi was reciting this poem from Complete Nonsense written by Edward Lear. Funny, because they knew that a chair or a table is not alive and it cannot talk or walk. Chair, table, stone or a coin are not alive. Accordingly, we do know that we are alive and so are all people of the world. We also watch animals around us that are also full of life dogs, cats, monkeys, squirrels, insects, and many others. How do we know that something is living? Commonly, it is not so simple to decide. We have told that plants are living, but they can't make a move like a dog or a pigeon. On the other hand, a car or a bus can move, still we accept them as non-living. Plants and animals seem to grow in size and shape with time, but then at times clouds in the sky also appear to grow in size. Does it mean that clouds are living? No. So, how does one distinguish between living and non living things? Do living things have some common characteristics that make them very different from the non living? You are an amazing example of a living being. What features do you have which make you varied from a non living thing? Write down a few of these characteristics in your notebook. Look at your list and mark those features that you have noted down, which may also be found in animals or plants. Some of these characteristics are maybe same to all living things. Do all organisms need food? We have previously learned that plants make their own meal by the procedure of photosynthesis. Animals depend on plants or other animals for their meal. Food gives organisms the energy required for them to live. Organisms also want energy for other life procedures that going on inside them. Do all organisms show growth? Does the t-shirt you wear 4 years back still fit you? You cannot wear it anymore, isn't it? You must have grown taller during these years. You may not feel it, but you are growing all the time, and in some years you will become an adult. Young ones of animals also grow into adults. You would surely have seen pups grow into adults, chicks hatched from eggs, grows into hens or cocks. Plants also grow. Look around you and watch some plants of a peculiar type. Some are very short and young, some are taller. They may all be in various stages of growth. Look at the plants after some days or weeks. You may find that some of them have grown in size. Growth seems to be similar to all living things. Do you think non-living things show growth? Do all organisms respire? Can we live without breathing? When we breathe in, the air passes from outside to the inside of our body. When we breathe out, the air passes from inside our body to outside. Breathing is part of a procedure known as respiration. In respiration, some of the oxygen of the air we breathe inside our body is used by the body. What we breathe out is carbon dioxide. In this process, the process of breathing in animals such as cows, buffaloes, dogs or cats is same as humans. Observe any one of these animals while they are taking breathe-in rest and notice the movement of their stomach. This slow movement shows that they are breathing. Few animals may have various mechanisms for the interchange of gases, which is a part of the respiration procedure. For instance, earthworms breathe by their skin. Fish have gills for consuming oxygen dissolved in water. The gills take oxygen from the air dissolved in water. Do plants also respire? Exchange of gases in plants mainly takes place through leaves. The leaves take in air through tiny pores in them and use the oxygen. They give out carbon dioxide to the air. We know that is sunlight. Plants consume carbon dioxide to prepare food and give out oxygen. The quantity of oxygen given out in the process of food production by plants is much more than the oxygen they use in respiration. Respiration in plants takes place day and night. Do all organisms respond to stimuli? How do you behave if you at once step on a sharp object like a spike while walking barefoot? How do you realize when you think about your favorite dish? You unawarely move from a dark place into bright sunlight. What happens? Your eyes close themselves automatically for a while till they adjust to the changed bright surroundings. Your liking or favorite dish, luminous light and a spike in the above situations are few examples of alterations in your surroundings. All of us react immediately to such changes. Changes in our all the sides that makes us reactable on them are called stimuli. Do other animals also respond to stimuli? Observe the behavior of animals when food is served to them. Do you find them suddenly becoming active on seeing the food? When you move towards a bird, what does it do? Wild animals run away when bright light is flashed towards them. Similarly, cockroaches begin to move to their hiding places if the light in the kitchen is switched on at night. Can you give some more examples of responses of animals to stimuli? Do plants also react on stimuli? Flowers of few saplings bloom only at night. In some plants flowers shuts after sunset. In some saplings like mimosa, generally known as touch-me-not, leaves fold when someone touches them. These are some instances of reactions of plants or saplings towards changes in their surroundings. Upright. Do you think this may be in reaction to some stimulus? All living things reacted on changes around them. Living organisms and excretion. All organisms need food or meal. Not all the food or meal that is eaten is fully used. Only a part of it is consumed by the body. What happens to the remained food? This has to be getting out from the body as wastes. Our body generates some wastes in other life processes also. The process of getting out of wastes by organisms is known as excretion. Do plants also excrete? They do, but not as seen in animals or insects. The mechanisms in plants are a little varied. Some plants find it possible to keep the waste products within their parts in such a way that they do not make loss the plant as a whole. Some plants throws out waste products as secretions. Excretion is another characteristic common to all organisms. Do all organisms reproduce their own kind or species? Have you ever seen nests of some birds like pigeons? Many birds lay their eggs in the nest. Some of the eggs hatch and young birds come out of them. Animals reproduce their own kind or species. The way of reproduction may be varied in different animals. Some animals give birth their young ones through eggs. Some animals born to the young ones. Plants also reproduce. Like animals, plants also differ in their mode of reproduction. Many plants reproduce through seeds. Plants produce seeds which can germinate and grow into new plants. Several plants also grows through parts other than seeds. For instance, a part of a potato with a bud produced into a new plant. Plants also grows through cuttings. Would you like to grow a plant in this way yourself? Do all organisms move? In previous chapter, we studied the different ways in which animals move. They move from here to there and also show other body movements. What about plants? Do they also move? Plants are commonly anchored in soil, so they do not make a move from here to there. However, different substances like water, minerals, and the food synthesis by them move from one part of the plant to other. Have you pay attention any other type of movement in plants? Opening or closing of flowers. Do you memorize how some plants show movement in response to certain stimuli? We also have some non-living things moving, of course. A bus, car, a small piece of paper, clouds, and so on. Is there something different in these movements from the movements of living beings? There is such a kind of living organisms, but all of them show some similar features, as we have learnt. Yet another common characteristic is that living beings die. Because organisms die, peculiar types of organisms can live alive over thousands of years only if they regenerate their own kind. One single organism often die without ever reproducing, but the type of organism can live only if there is reproduction. We see that all living things seem to have some similar characteristics. They all require food, respire, react on stimuli, reproduce, show movement, grow and die. Do we find some non-living things that also show some of these characteristics? Cars, bicycle, clocks, and the water in the river move. The moon moves in the sky. A cloud grows in size right in front of our eyes. Can such things be called living? We ask ourselves, do these objects also show all the other characteristics of living things? Oftenly, something that is living may have all the features that we have discussed before, while non-living things may not show all these features at the same time. Is this true forever? Do we always find that living things surely show all the features of the living that we have discussed before? Do we always find that non-living things may show only some of these characteristics and never all of them? To understand this a little clear, let us look at a specific example. Consider any seed, say mung. Is it living? It can stored in a shop for months and not show any growth or some of the other features of life. However, we bring the same seed and sow it in soil, water it, and it turns into a whole plant. Did the seed need food? Did it excrete, grow, or regenerate when it was in the shop for several months? We see that there can be cases when we cannot casually say that a thing has all the characteristics that we have discussed for it to be called living. What then is life? Push your hand deep inside a sack of wheat. Do you find it is warm inside? There is some heat being produced inside the sack of wheat. The seeds respire and in that process give out some heat. We see that respiration is a procedure that occurs in seeds even when some of the other life processes may not be very active. It may not be very simple to answer our question, what then is life? However, seeing at all the diversity of living beings around us, we can conclude that life is beautiful.